Five.
Welcome to our edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Luis Velasquez. With me, Amy Lopez and Cesar Hernandez. Return of Amy back to the Mexican Soccer Show. So, yeah. How are we doing? How are we doing? Whoa, why am I like... There we go. Now we're the same. How's it going?
I feel a lot better than I did the last couple days. I felt like I was still kind of like trying to like piece things together and just be like, why did that happen? Why did this happen? And I was feeling very frustrated. But now I feel good. I feel calm, even though it's a little warm, and you might see me sweating a little bit since we have no AC unit in the spare bedroom. But doing all right. I'm actually excited to talk about Mexican soccer after what happened Saturday.
I'm not. Let's be honest. I'm trying to like do the notes and figure out what to say and what's going on. Amy, welcome back to the Mexican Soccer Show Live. Missed you.
You saw me like 2 days ago, bro. I'm fine though. I'm doing fine. I also reserve the right to complain about heat, despite Wiso being on this show. Like because he
it's like we're not allowed to do it. It's like we're not allowed to
do it. Like every time that we want to have even the faintest feeling of like, you know what it is, but I kind of understand it because when people say they're tired and then I have like two kids.
You do it all the time.
Like, I'll be like, I don't give a shit.
Ever tired.
You don't know what tired is.
I can't ever say I'm tired because you don't know what tired is. You can't talk about the heat because you don't know. So,
but it has been kind of hot, like But see, even internally, like we're not even talking, we're not even on the show, and I'll be like, you know what? It's kind of hot. I just hear you. Like you don't even know what hot is and stuff. So
I'm here in Dallas, and people go, "Oh, you're from Phoenix. You know how it is." I'm like, no, this is worse. Humidity's worse. But we'll end it there. So we'll do that. All right. Welcome to everybody on the chat.
Every time we leave an airport with humidity, it's like as soon as we leave, the door is open. Wiso walks out of the airport. He's like, "Bleh." So yeah, he's always complaining.
You're such a liar because you're never with me when we walk out. All right, let's chat. Let's talk. Who's on the chat right now? First, Golazazo and Joanna Sanchez is on. Alex Elorson saying hello. And really quick disclaimer: we love all the chat, everyone that's on, but please. Try to make PG, maybe PG-13. You know, let's. I'm not. We love posting your comments on, but some of the either usernames are not very. I think the last time there was like a crazy username, and I showed it on it. So please, if you know, we won't feature you on your comments. We want to know what you guys are saying, but dude, let's keep it PG. I don't want to get in trouble. Anyway,
most importantly, like also just like if you want to see us like talk about your message, like if you have a dumb use or not like an offensive username or something that's not PG-13, like we won't be able to show it, you know. So it's just like
already chat Golazo. Come on, man, like it's crazy. We hate the US, but I mean, men's national team. So we'll say. So Giovanna's saying already that she couldn't see the game while she was working. Well, you didn't miss anything, and we'll be chatting all about what's going on.
Might be for the
So,
best.
yeah, it might be for the best that you didn't see that game because nobody was happy. All right. So lots and lots to talk about. I'm in Dallas, and Cesar's just left.
He also was unhappy. He doesn't want to talk about
he doesn't want to be it anymore. So Cesar, hopefully you can come back. I don't know what happened. We'll see. But I'm in Dallas. Amy left Dallas and back now in LA. And so behind me, I'm at the Cambria Hotel in Dallas, which is one of my favorite hotels. It's pretty cool. So they gave me this cool room with a nice view. So it's a Monday, so I got a pretty cool cheap rate. Anyway, let's just jump in. We have lots and lots to talk about. Like we said, everything that happened. And first thing is Mr. Chucky Lozano. If you want to talk about that, we'll see if Cesar comes on. But as you know, Chucky Lozano suffered an injury around the 10th minute. I said it already on my on kind of a wrap up. It just took the life out of the game. But Amy, we were there at the game. You saw what happened. Well, kind of far away. You saw the reaction from the fans. You saw the players. What stuck the most out of you?
I think that from Chucky getting injured, or just in general.
Just in general, the whole situation, because we already know Chucky got injured, 40 stitches.
Yeah,
good thing, nothing came out of it.
Not as drastic as it felt like in that moment.
And to kind of give you some of that, like, we knew there was something wrong because obviously we work with press, and somebody mentioned people have sideline reporters, right, to the NA and all them. So we're in the chat of what's going on. If you ever see us tweet out, it's because we have the sources that are there, and automatically he's unconscious. As soon as it happened, I could not tweet that out. I was like, I don't want to scare anybody.
Yeah,
and putting that out there right now because I knew he was unconscious already. And didn't want to tweet out just because I'm like, please wake up. Like,
we had some photographers out there helping us for FootMex Nation that did an incredible job, and I was going through some of them today, and from the pictures. I mean, and for what it's worth, people, please stop retweeting and sharing the video. Nobody wants.
Apparently,
to see it.
There was like replays of the video.
Like just stop doing that. But I was looking at the photos, and not unfortunately, but in that time, because they're action shots, there's actually a sequence of shots that show the moment he's sliding and colliding and everything. And I think, if it's like 3 or 4 shots, like frames of it, I think by like the third one, so it's not even the fourth one where he's fully collided. It's like the third one where they're already making contact. You see Funes Mori already putting his hand up. Maybe he's calling for the penalty, whatever, but there's an automatic kind of just impulsive reaction to say, hey, there's something wrong to the ref. And so my lasting impression of that moment was what I tweeted out. Like in retrospect, given everything that happened, it's almost embarrassing to think that he gives Edson a yellow for overreacting or for getting mad at the fact that nothing was done. Yeah. Like he kept the play going even after that. And it's like, okay, let's say it's not as bad as it seems. Let's say, he doesn't get a huge gash, whatever, he isn't unconscious. 2 players collided. That's you have to stop the game at that point. Like, you can't just go, no, keep playing. Like, I think it was 3. Like, they all just toppled on top of each other. I don't know. The officiating was bad in general. I guess that's why I was asking the question.
It was horrible.
But that moment just was like the start of everything just falling completely apart during the entire match.
Cesar's back.
Yeah, hopefully I'm back.
There you are. You're back.
You look clear. You're like in 4K right now. I'm not gonna.
Well, now because I'm using just my phone and just data, so hopefully I don't eat up all my data today. I guess we'll find out. But it sounded like we were talking about Chucky there. We talked about the officiating. Yes. I mean, I posted a tweet about it. Like, I get really, really annoyed by fans who constantly complain about refs, constantly complain about CONCACAF refs, because I think they aren't given enough credit. I am always bothered by people who think like this ref was terrible, that was terrible. That said, even I had to make some sort of comment about the officiating on Saturday because that was pretty abysmal. And I'm not giving Mexico excuses. I think they had enough opportunities to find the back of the net, and they did eventually find the back of the net. I think they had enough opportunities to score at least a few goals there. They should have got the win. But that said, the officiating was some of the worst I've ever seen in a Mexico game. I can't remember the last time it was this bad. It was genuinely awful. And it wasn't even it wasn't even like it was against just Mexico either. One, I think the colorful kit actually quote tweeted something that I said and posted that like it hurt like Trinidad and Tobago at one point too, where there was some sort of injury for Mexico, and then the ref got a little confused, and it was supposed to give the ball back to Trinidad and Tobago, but instead he gave it back to Mexico, and it was absolutely confusing, and it was just one of so many disappointments of that night. But yeah, but it was really really frustrating to watch that match, and part of that was the officiating.
It's talking about Chucky Lozano when this happened, and everyone, I mean, there's so much that's happening because of that. It felt like it was just downhill from there, and there's so much that's still happening because of it. To give you an update on Chucky, looks like it's not as bad as everyone thought. We were thinking he could have been paralyzed the way you see those replays. And Amy and I did not see the replay. We're so far away, and we don't have TVs until I had to look for it because everyone kept saying sharing it, but just wanted to see how severe it was. We're getting things that, he's going to be taken to the hospital. When we finally saw it, it's like, we're just kind of thinking like, wow, this could have been really, really bad. 40 stitches. He does have some, the precautions. He has a neck brace, and it looks like everything's going to be okay. Tomorrow, he'll be there'll be some neurological tests, but so it's still not over. Concussions, head trauma could last days, and he'll definitely be out for the Gold Cup. And I guess that's where our conversation would be. Is we talked about this. If Chucky Lozano, Andres Guardado, now and Jimenez now out. I mean, we start to think about this is not an A team at all, and then plus taking the Olympics. So it's kind of like Mexico's finally taking stars and injuries, Olympics. Now I tweeted out there, we might not see a Mexico-US final, and it might not necessarily just be not the US making it. Who knows?
Yeah. At the same time, though, I think, as fortunate as that injury was to Chucky, and now there's going to have to be reliance. I think the easy answer is Efrain Alvarez on one wing, but you could potentially have Orbelin on the wing as well with Tecatito. And as unfortunate as this draw was, I think it's important to remember that this isn't the first time that Mexico has had serious issues in a Gold Cup. This is, if anything, this is kind of par for the course. Like they've. I think it was in 2019. They almost lost to. It might have been Martinique in 2015. Haiti. I think that's it. Was
and then they went to Costa Rica and Houston. They went to PKs against Houston and Costa Rica, and then obviously had the final.
I think in the 2015 Gold Cup, I think the group stage they got 2 draws. I think that was one where it was a 4-4 against Trinidad and Tobago,
Guatemala.
And that as well. I think it's that like this is just kind of not really that surprising. Yes, it kind of that was the most frustrated I've been in quite some time watching Mexico play. But like, I also feel like we shouldn't freak out too much. I think we could. Yeah, they could easily bounce back by the end of the group stage.
We could. Yeah, we shouldn't freak out.
I think the thing that impacted them obviously was Chucky's injury, and the psyche there could have to do. It's not as if they just didn't have any opportunities. They just weren't going in. In fact, Moni's goal is marked offsides. That's how it's offsides. I have no idea. But you count that one. They did score a goal, technically speaking. They were consistently pushing and trying to get opportunities. They just weren't going in. Orbelin had a bad shot. Tecatito had a good opportunity too. There were moments where maybe that is the factor. Maybe it is a factor with the officiating. Maybe it is a factor that Chucky got hurt. Like there's just so many little things that just happened that I don't think those are going to happen against Guatemala. I don't think those are going to happen in El Salvador. And even if they do, I don't think they go without a goal at some point, if that makes sense. So I think they bounce back these next 2 games, and then you see how the system overall, kind of fluctuates and what he can do without Chucky. But I don't think it was like absolutely terrible. It was worrisome that none of the goals went in, but
where is the offside? I'm looking at this right now.
That's what I'm saying. I need to, and then
no, really, like in what? And am I missing it? Like he's kicking it.
I think it's in the pass.
What are they saying?
Do they have the goal line technology?
I think it's in the pass before that where it's like it's before that where I think it looks just
right. So here's the ball. This pass right here.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's so close. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, because his foot still hasn't left the ball still hasn't left his foot. So where does it leave it? Right there.
It's so incredibly close though. I know. I think you could make the argument for either side, whether that is on or off, because it's just that's the kind of thing where like you need the EPL kind of just like the red and yellow lines to show you.
You need to show the eyebrow is offside. So that
yeah.
Definition.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I think what was frustrating is that like on that night is that it wasn't just that opportunity not going at the back of the net, but it was what happened to Chucky that kind of put. Yeah. If that was your teammate, and if that was like, and you saw him go down like that, and especially after what many of us saw with Raul Jimenez, I wonder if a lot of them they had those same thoughts. You know, I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like when I saw Chucky go down, I was like, this is like Raul. Like how long is he going to be out for? Like how serious is? And he was knocked out. Like he was definitely knocked out for a little bit there. So yeah, I think there were just a number of factors going into this game. And obviously, doesn't exactly help when you have some pauses to the game due to some, let's call it just homophobic defensive chance, you know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But go ahead, Amy.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say there was also this very, I don't know, it almost reminded me of now I'm forgetting it. Is it the match against South Africa when the ref just kind of shrugs when he marks the offsides call on Gio? Like there was like this feeling like within the officiating themselves that it was like, oh, this is not going to go well. Like as soon as that Chucky thing happened and like there's like the altercation, I just felt like the vibes were off with the ref. So that's where I was going to go. It was just
and we never complain about refs on this podcast. Like this isn't like something we usually do. Like if we're complaining about the officiating, then it's probably pretty egregious. It's probably pretty bad because this isn't something we typically do. Yeah.
Take Chucky's injury off. Take the bad refs, and let's say it was about missing, right? It was about, we just sometimes that happens. Hector Herrera hit the pole. You saw many times Amy and I went like at the game, we're like, that's going in because we're so high above, that's going in, and it just looked like inches off, right? I think if you take all the extra field stuff, we would be like, it's 1-1, it happens. Let's be mad at Tata for not figuring out how to play the bunker. But all the extra off the field stuff is what kind of like everyone's just like kind of pissed about. You've seen on the picture, Efrain Alvarez came in to help, to play. And thank you so much to Leslie, our Next Nation photographer, also Kevin Calvo, for these images. We're not allowed to show the game in the replay because YouTube will take us down. So we found a way to give you guys kind of what happened during the game in this kind of slideshow that Amy kind of put forward. But Efrain Alvarez, subbing in, big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. Not many touches did he get. But as a 17-year-old, Amy, 18, 17?
I think he's 19 at this point.
19 years old. I think he did well. Cap tied it well. And I think he did well. He did everything that he could. Got a chance to talk to him or listen to him during the press conference. They put him out there, by the way. That was kind of odd. Cap tied, boom. Now you get to talk in the mix zone that we had after and he said some funny stuff almost at the end. I think he was going to say Viva Mexico, like he was so excited. But what are your thoughts on him, the replacement of Chucky?
I think he does have it's funny because it's covering him at LA Galaxy. I think the huge like if there was a moment where like he was mega like super hyped up, it was as soon as Zlatan said that he was a special kid, and suddenly everybody's like, oh, we had to pay attention. They were paying attention to him before that fact, but it was like, oh, Zlatan really likes him, and this kid's going somewhere, and he started more than he was supposed to because of the squad injuries and all the stuff that was happening at LA Galaxy at the time. So I've always had this reservation about him just because he also looks very young, like just his demeanor. I've seen him outside of matches in LA. I forgot where I saw him, but he looked like such a young kid. And so I kind of carry that with me sometimes. And when I saw him come on for Chucky, I thought the same thing. He has such big shoes to fill. And there's a lot of, it's not just Zlatan, there's a lot of journalists and stuff that are like, I think he's a really good player. I think his potential level from where he is right now to what it could be is astronomical. And if he reaches it, oh my God, what a player he's going to be. He didn't do terrible. He just looks so young on the field compared to everybody else around him. Now, is that completely his fault? No, he's still learning the system. He's still learning how to play with all his teammates. But yeah, it wasn't. And then they stick him out there to go do the mix zones, and you just kind of feel for him. I'm sure he's very excited. I'm sure he's very grateful, but that was the lasting effect for me in this game, especially because it was filled with so much tension, right? So you take this young kid and put him in this situation. I mean, we saw it kind of with England, maybe not at the same level by any means, right? But you're putting this young prospective player in this position, and then you're expecting them to act at the same caliber that Herrera is at, or Araujo is at, and all these other players that have already been together and know what to do in these like really tight situations, even though they're not losing or anything like that. But he did get a few good touches. He did have a few good chances. I think he took like 2 shots on goal. But it was a lot to give him. I think he'll have a much better game against Guatemala and El Salvador, but I felt like it was a lot of pressure to put on him so early.
Yeah, I think that's important to keep in mind too, just because he probably assumed, I think most of us assumed, that the front line was going to be led by Chucky, Funes Mori, and Tecatito. And now suddenly with that Chucky injury, it's looking likely that he's going to be a starter for Mexico. And if not a starter, he's going to be getting significant minutes in this tournament. And I think that we have to keep in mind that, there's an immense amount of potential there. He's a very exciting player. But I'm not sure if Amy would agree with this or not, because she keeps a closer eye on him. But I feel like LA Galaxy fans and LA Galaxy, just the team itself, they're waiting for him to be having consistently high-level performances week in, week out. So I think they're still waiting. Go ahead.
The thing about Efra is that he it's kind of, it's almost appropriate that this is the way that it happened to him, because this is what happened to him with LA Galaxy last season. Like, he's put in these situations because there's no other option when he's supposed to be developing, slowly getting minutes, as a proper Los player. But then they didn't have anything at LA Galaxy. Now they don't really have anything on the national team. So he's kind of forced to get all these minutes. He has these moments he does have these really cool moments, right? That goal that assist he gave to Zlatan that one season, the goal that he scored for LA Galaxy like 2 games ago. He will have these moments where he shines, but it needs to be consistent. And that's what LA Galaxy fans have been looking for a very long time. It's something that, now on a national team level, I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen it with Antuna. Antuna shined, and now he's not really doing anything, and people are getting impatient. And I don't think that that's fair to do to a 19-year-old kid. But we'll see.
I think this is a perfect stage for him. It's a Gold Cup. The opposition isn't the greatest. I think it's a great way for him. I think he'll be fine if he gets a minute. I think he'll do fine. He's very talented, just like Zlatan has said, and we'll see what's happening. I'm just worried, about the rest of the team. Yes, somebody said that wasn't in the stands. Well, actually, we didn't know if he was in the stadium at all, because he got that suspension from the Nations League.
They did cut to him, like watching.
Did they cut to him? We're looking.
Yeah, like the last.
Somebody said it right. Maybe also Tata not being there could have affected it. There's so many things about that game, and I thought Funes Mori did okay. What do Funes Mori's got talent. He'll be there. He'll play, and he'll score the goals. It'll come. We don't have anybody else. For anybody complaining about Funes Mori, who are you going to throw in there?
Was anybody complaining about Funes Mori yesterday?
People still complaining.
People complain because he was born in Argentina. Like, that's what they're complaining. Like, that's why they're complaining.
No, I mean, he scored last year.
Yes.
He's gonna get a goal. Like, he's going to get a goal at some point.
Really quick on Funes Mori. Yesterday I went to watch the match, the Euro match, and I was with Kari, and she brought a friend along who actually played with Funes Mori, and here in Dallas. Well, he was in the Dallas Academy, and he was saying that Funes Mori, everyone already knew that this kid's gonna be a special, him and his brother, right? But what he was saying is that he used to be like somebody that dribbled a lot, like he was just going around everybody, and that now that he's playing, he's like a 2 marksman, right? Number 9, he's just one touch and he scores. And he was saying that, you could see that, going to Argentina, they're like, no, you're not going to do that, and you're not just going to dribble around everybody. He became the player that he is. It's kind of cool, those connections that you get to play. And he was telling me some cool stories about, he's a very humble kid when he was playing with him. So to him, now that if I hate talking to the whole like, oh, is he patriotic? We know he's in Mexico and soccer reasons. I'm not going to judge if he's Mexican enough, because I hate those conversations, but he was one of the first people that ran and that said was going crazy about what Chucky after the game, what he was talking about. I didn't like some of the comments that he made about the chant, and we'll get to those regarding kind of almost blaming the fans, and what's going to come to him for those comments. But he's invested in the national team, and he wants to score as much as everybody, trying to make sure that he fits in. And kind of like what Hector Herrera said in an interview that I had with him in a question was, the whole national team is there to make him feel welcomed. So we'll see. Hopefully there's nobody else.
Once he scores on Wednesday, he's got I think that could be a pretty safe prediction. Although look real dumb if that doesn't happen. But I think once he scores on Wednesday, it'll be water under the bridge, as we saw in the Mexico game in LA. Yeah, there were some boos for him, but then as soon as he scored, stadium erupted. Yeah, so I think we'll be seeing. I think we'll be seeing the same when you consider the opposition. So, but yeah.
Well, we'll see. Let's have the conversation. Let's talk about what happened also outside, where we continue to have this problem with the chant. I was nervous for the LA match. We talked about it, Cesar. We thought maybe the chant was going to be there, a different environment. And when I say different environment, it's we went to Atlanta, Nashville. There's a lot more families that are going, and I'm not saying that no families are chanting, but there's I guess maybe the type of people, if it's drinking a lot, if it's the type of fans that are going to the matches, just nada más a puro desmadre, like people say, and they don't really care. But we really thought LA was gonna be part of the chant, and then Dallas came in. So once again, the chant was heard. The match was stopped twice. I don't know what's going on with the protocols, because I saw step one twice. There's the federation blaming the protocols too. There's just so much that are going on with the chant, and kind of just have a discussion is what else needs to be done. It feels like, I guess I can give an answer on a personal note, where why didn't we see it in others? Because we were winning. And then now that, the refs were having a horrible night, Chucky, Lozano, the spectacle, people started getting mad. And being at the matches for now, all these matches where it didn't happen and where it did happen, you kind of hear little pockets of it. You hear little pockets in one section, and people don't catch on. But once, I'm not blaming the refs, but once the refs were having a horrible call, once they called it back, everything that happened, it's like then they're like, nada más vamos a fregar. We're just going to say it. And then they stopped it. And what happened? It became louder. They stopped it again. Mm-hmm. It came louder, and people are like, we don't really care. We're going to do it anyways. And I think that very last one, just like Amy, you said that, people were just kind of saying it with rage. And there's so many things that are going on because of that chant. So kind of your thoughts.
Yeah. If they really would have followed through the protocol, I think they should have paused the game earlier. And I don't know why they waited for so long to actually pause the match. Because for one, fans may not even care at that point. It can almost be like a little bit of a water break for all three, trying to get a late goal. And that's it. That is actually what ended up happening. But of course, we saw what happened there. So I think it's not nearly as effective, but it's earlier when it's later in the match. I think they need to do it earlier in the game when you do actually hear those instances of it. And we did definitely. I was watching it from home, and you can hear it as some of those instances of the goalkeeper chant. And I think you made a good point there, Risa, where, and I think it's something I've talked with people online, that the big test for me is not whether you can do away with the chant during a friendly, but whether you can do away with it in a competitive match in which Mexico is either losing or they haven't found a game winner just yet. And fans got frustrated. They got angry with the refs. I'm not justifying it, because fans should not be utilizing the goalkeeper chant for anything. We've gone over how it's homophobic. We've gone over how it's offensive. But nonetheless, I think the true test was to see if fans would still do it in a match like this. And unfortunately, Mexico fans, we did not. We failed. We'll just leave it at that. We failed. And I think something that also maybe could have helped, which you didn't have in this game, was that, as we've seen in recent friendlies, we had players talking before the match. I don't know, maybe I missed it. Maybe a player did talk before the match and say some sort of vague thing. And even if it was something vague, at the very least they were just saying, hey, let's be respectful. Let's be good and not be terrible in the stands. But I felt like that had a little bit of an impact in the recent friendlies, and maybe it's something CONCACAF could look into allowing that, because I don't think it'd be that ridiculous. Yeah.
There's so much that are happening that I think people also just kind of jump into it in all different angles. And like I said, being in there, and Amy, you can back me up on this. You don't hear it in the whole stand. You hear it in pockets. At times in the stadium, I'm like, Amy, did somebody say it? And you're like, no, I couldn't hear it. Even where we were at. And I'm not justifying the ref. I'm not justifying the protocol. There's so much to be learned here. But being in the stadium, I see on Twitter, I hear the chant. And I go, I didn't hear it right there. It's not like it used to be where the whole stadium is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not excusing the ref because it's the ref who has to hear it to stop and give the signal. It's not like the people up there that are going, hey, ref, you got to stop it because we heard it because the TV is saying it. So it's the ref that has to do it and then has to stop the match.
That's actually an interesting dynamic that I don't think they did. I don't know if they like should explain to us or something. But if you are the ref and you're in that high situation where a lot of stuff is happening, right? Like sometimes players can't hear themselves or whatever. Maybe you can't hear everything. Maybe at this point you do need that though. Maybe you.
Well, maybe it is.
You know what? We heard it. Stop the game because if you're because then you get this. Then you get the circus of like, oh, so step 1 2 times. You know, the federation being like, oh, we have a protocol in place. They didn't commit to it, and it just becomes, it becomes like. It just becomes repetitive and like, as a parent, right? The most important thing consistently is the follow through. And at this point, these fans are like children, like they're reacting
but I guess,
to be denied. So you have to follow through with it. You have to follow through with either canceling it altogether or, like for me, it's gotten to the point yes, being there in that stadium and listening to that very last one that didn't just have the chant, it had the build up. So everybody at that point was just giving a giant middle finger to whatever they thought shouldn't or should be done. It was that last one, like physically bothered me because it was just like a perfect culmination of the frustration that Cesar said already of Chucky being injured, all of that happening. I get it. That sucks. But that was like, already at this point what it means if you do it and you don't care. And
the match is already over anyway. The match is almost already over. You're not winning. Who cares if they end it now? It doesn't matter.
Like okay, maybe you don't give like 2 F's about it, right? But if the players are even on the field, like looking at you, like what are you doing? Like I want to understand the logic of the fans there because you essentially paid a lot of money to be at that game.
So let's. That right there, that let's analyze right there. If the match at minute 5 is stopped and says, we're done, you guys said it, we're out, I think the fan's going to think about it because there's another game in Dallas.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where the follow-through it needs to be. And I think that's where you go, okay, if you're as a ref are being like, I can't hear it, I don't know what's going on, but then you need that extra support or that extra step.
Okay.
That's what boards the match, too, right?
So the match,
he can't see everything. There's a whole hub of people like, you know what? You got to go check it out.
But it's not as easy as everybody thinks because when you look at it, now that I know stadium production,
from production level, I'm sure from all
I got a chance to be in stadium production in Nashville, which is there's so many people that are running everything from the jumbotron, the screen. Like the chant has to be heard. Someone has to confirm it. Then production has to be involved to put the thing on that, hey, we're going to do this. The announcer has to be like, there's a lot that goes into it. So there's step 1. So when people say, you got to do it in minute 6, it takes a while to even get to step 1 in order to tell people. So finally it happened. Then it happened again. The match was stopped twice. And I think that's like in a span of an hour, it needs to be completely said in the very first few minutes for it to culminate in order to step.
And I think it's also true what Cesar said. I think the other thing that lacked here was that just like clear, like, again, it almost annoys me to the point that these are grown people that need to be coddled like children, and you have to have all these steps. I mean, I do this for my son for like therapy sessions. Okay, it's annoying to think that you people who pay tons of money have to be given these proper steps. But I do think there would have been some sort of impact if you do have a player there. If you have a player there that starts at the beginning, just like they did in Nashville, just like they did in Atlanta, that's like, hey, we're so excited to be in this tournament. You know you want us to win that 12th title or that 9th title. Please don't do it. Be as inconspicuous like you've been this entire time. People are going to get what you're trying to say. But that was at fault. There's a lot of little things that aren't happening that need to happen because like they really don't care. They really don't care at that point. And it like messes with my mind because you've wasted all this time in traffic, you've paid all this money, you've done all these things, and you're like, what am I gonna lose? But that's the problem. You don't have anything to lose because they keep missing these little steps.
Soccer Cooligans are friends. Amazing podcast in soccer and football. So thanks for joining. I totally agree with Amy. It feels like we're stuck into some holding pattern where there's no real consequence. Fans won't change behavior unless something happens. Players and coaches are all frustrated. It's true. Everyone is frustrated at it. The follow through is very important. Here's what I think could help. Security. Hire as much security as you can to have in every single role for the stadium. And I get it. It would take amounts of money, but it's a lot more money if you miss the World Cup. Hire security in every single role all the way up in every single section. One person just there standing, or maybe 5. The minute, and have a meeting with security and saying, hey, if you see anyone doing this, show them clips, kick them out, and start kicking people out. Right. And that person's in charge of 100 seats this way. If they hear it, start kicking people out. And as soon as you have that, right, I feel like if there's consequences for the fans, at least that'll stop. But then what happens? You go to another stadium. And that's the hardest part, is that these are being played in every other stadium. For everyone that has said, my Liga MX team did it, or the European clubs, they got rid of racism or however because of this, it's because it's different people every single time. And it just depends also on the scoreline in what's going on. But unless the fans are getting some type of consequence, it's going to keep happening because there are those fans that just really don't care. The whole conversation of the Barras Brava that's happening, for some of you don't know, that they're going anti-FMF so they can miss the World Cup, and they're going to say the P word, which makes absolutely no freaking sense. Go pay money.
No, but this is I mean, you can't speak logically to illogical people, right? That just at the end of the day, you can hope to change certain people, but some people you are never going to change, right? That's just the way that life works. But just speaking to some people, and this is not to say like we exist. I think that's the other thing that maybe Mexican fans or something don't understand is like we deal with this like internally on like different levels. Like I came home and we had a whole discussion because there's some people that are like, oh, why is it a big deal? Why are they trying to stop the game? And I'm just like, if somebody is telling you not to do something, and again, it goes back to the fact that there's no consequences, but if somebody is telling you don't do this anymore because this will happen, I'm not going to do it. And it goes back to them not caring and just, people always say, oh,
I don't even think people really understand that Mexico can lose the World Cup, because people go, no, they won't. That'll never happen.
Oh, they'll never do it. They'll never change. Like,
and I have some people that obviously on the cats that saying, about the idea of the security fan. I'm not saying that's the answer, but in the World Cup, I'm telling you this, people got taken out because of the chant with their fan ID. And in all the forums, because I'm in a lot of Mexicanos Vamos al Mundial, people were saying you're going to get you are now being tagged. And I'm not a fan of IDing everybody and having like a fan ID. I don't think that'll ever happen. Sure, we don't know. We don't know what can happen. But what I'm saying is that there's got to be some type of consequence to the fan, and it hasn't happened yet. And it's a perfect opportunity right now in Dallas because you have people going into the stadium at minute 10. They close it. They're going to go, well, I have tickets for the Sunday game. Am I going to go so we can just waste money? Like, just like you said, Amy, why drive out there so many hours so they can do it? And it's not everybody. That's what pisses me off the most. It's not everybody that's doing it.
It's not everybody, but that last one,
it sounded like everybody.
At that point, they didn't care. And I know people were getting mad at Funes Mori because he put it on the ref. And I tweeted it out, and there were some people that were getting mad. It's like, technically, he's right. Technically, it is. It's this buildup of this frustration of just getting annoyed about everything that unfortunate that is happening. But my afterthought is that these are grown people. They understand the consequences of all of it that's happening. So there's no excuse. We're not.
What are the consequences to a regular fan that really doesn't even pay attention to what's going on?
That's another thing. Conversation with that fan, because what are you doing at a Mexico game? Only wasting your time. Like, you're paying money to wait to just like waste time. Like you could have done that. You could have gotten into a fight with your neighbor. Don't waste like $100 going to a Mexico game.
I think that's the issue too. It's just like, I mean, one thing that makes Mexico games so beautiful, and I feel weird saying beautiful after we've been criticizing justifiably for the last like 10 to 15, 40 minutes. But what makes it so beautiful is that, like, I've always talked about how Mexico games are like the perfect kind of like cultural kind of like convention, and it's like so cool. You see people there's always good food, there's always good music, there're like people who like even have like political sides. It's like the best Mexican cultural celebration that you can celebrate is a Mexico game. But because that it's not just soccer fans. It's people who are just proud of being Mexican American or proud of being Mexican. And we have to recognize that in our culture, we do have a very, machismo kind of like issue that has yet to be dealt with. So yeah, we could tell soccer fans this, we could tell soccer fans we shouldn't be doing that. We're not going to go to World Cup, but there is a lot of, I don't know. I would be interested to see what that number would be like, but there are tens of thousands in the stadium who may not care about the World Cup. They just want to go and have a good time. They just want to have some drinks.
People believe it.
Yeah.
People, nothing is happening to the fan. It comes down to nothing is happening to the fan until they see it. They're like, we're not going to miss the World Cup. That's so long ago.
And some might not care.
Point, I'm kind of like,
but they're just like, they beers. Yeah.
Most of the people that are going to the Mexico games, they do care that when if Mexico does miss the World. I honestly believe
the Barras thing is illogical because
Barras is something
you weren't compensated, so now you're gonna hit them where it hurts. But guess what happens to that money if it's not there? You think you're gonna get some more in the
the Barras thing is just so stupid, and it's just I
feel like it's not even to be honest. It's not even. I think it's not even worth our time to discuss it because
it's happening. It's a big deal in Mexico. I don't think it'll hit to the U.S.
That just to, like quick little thought on that. Like I've been covering soccer, for years now, and that argument that those fans are making, and I don't even want to give it attention. It's just like it is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard from Mexican soccer.
Not to give it attention.
One of the stupidest
Irapuato, for those that don't know, Irapuato did not I'm just talking about divisions, not the names of the Premier League and all that. Irapuato in the third division won the third division, was supposed to go to the second division, right? To get promoted to the second division. But there are rules that the FMF says, hey, in order for you to do that, you have to this amount of money, you have to do this. They didn't have it, so therefore they got stuck even though they won. So the fans are super, super upset. And they said, you know what will hurt them? The FMF missing a World Cup. So now everyone encouraging everybody to yell the P chant at every single game, and which is all the Barras are supposedly going to work together, and it's just the dumbest thing. Like, let's pay money to be in the stadium to yell, so therefore they will miss the World Cup.
Money away.
Let's give money so they can take money away. Just is so stupid.
And also continue to say homophobic, terrible things.
By the way, we care about the LGBTQ community, but for this, we're going to use you.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said, right? We had a forum. We had a forum before any of these games started back in May, right? And one of the things that we kept going back to is that there's so much about Mexican identity or Mexican culture that, is so creative. I think Mane said it best, right? We're such a creative, collective group. And yet for some reason, we can't get past this. We can't get past just not saying it, know? And I was having a conversation with my dad when I came back, and he was like, yeah, it used to be fun, but they're telling you to stop. So why won't you stop? And honestly, at this point, we were kind of talking about it, Wiso and I, before, earlier in the morning. At this point, it's like, don't allow fans in the stadium. I know that's a good chunk of cash, and I know that revenue is a vital part of maybe the structure and the way everything works. But it's chump change compared to what you're going to miss if you're not going to go to the World Cup.
You're making a lot more money on TV contracts anyways.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you really look at it, and if you look at what's the most important thing here, even as press, I mean, not to say that the press is going to get consequences or anything, right? But that has to, if something that drastic has to happen, well, it's a result of nobody listening. And I fully support it at that point.
Yeah. And it comes down to the conversation that now the FMF, one of the solutions, which I don't think will happen, and we'll get more confirmation, is that there will be played the second game, Mexico versus Guatemala, closed door. Some people are signing off. Yes. Let's do it. Amy, to your point, let's not have them, so this problem isn't there. But I think back of my, Guatemalan friend that is going to go to the game, that's been excited to go to the game, although they were just kind of put on there. It's supposed to be Curaçao, and now they can't go to the game.
To lose and qualify.
I get it. So for Guatemalans to be like, you've been waiting for this opportunity. No, you haven't, but it's okay. There are people that are going to be there on Wednesday. There's a big Guatemalan, El Salvadoran community in Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't think another federation should be punished because of Mexico. Like, that's not fair either. For anybody to say, yeah, let's not have it. But I guess that could be a discussion. We're trying to see if there's confirmation.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah, it's all just reports. It's all just I think Yon de Luisa in a press conference earlier today recognized I guess you could say the possibility, but nothing is confirmed, nothing is official. But I feel like drastic measures need to be taken soon, because as we've discussed, throughout this entire pod, it's clear that the current rules that are happening right now are not working. What's in place right now isn't working. So we need to come up with something different.
The thing is that I get it. Like there's probably when it comes to production or strategies or whatever, there's a lot of red tape that you're limited with, right? When it comes to it, you have a lot of people that you have to have agree and say, you have a lot of a lot of leadership that you have to satisfy in order for your full plan to be fully executed. What you start with, which could very well maybe be from federation strategists, be like, hey, let's just tell them no or whatever. It gets diluted in the process, right? Yeah. And we get these very lukewarm videos or what have you, messaging, if you want to put it that way, that's not so aggressive.
What else? Like people go, federation needs to do something. What?
No, it's true. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's just so much little like legal tape or whatever tape that you have to cross, that it is hard.
And it's not just a federation. There's so many entities that are part of it. This is the gold. Well, this is CONCACAF Gold Cup. They're the ones that need to do something. The federation can't go, we want to put Guillermo Ochoa out there. I mean, or Talavera or whatever player or Herrera out there like we did in the Sum games and say, hey guys, please don't use it anymore. The CONCACAF is no. This is not about Mexico. Like you can't just give precedence to one country, even though it's a country that's giving you the most crap in this tournament. And the fans, it's like there's so much that needs to happen. And I know everyone has their own answer, and it's easier for us to say, but then the people that are in charge are like, what are we going to do? I know the federation's trying to do as much as they can to a point, right? Talking to fans, getting videos out there, making sure that please don't yell it. I think it's a little too late. They should have started a long time ago. And I'll be the first to admit, first it was, no, it's not homophobic. No, it's just the way people talk. And then finally it's like, okay, no.
I think that's been the issue too, is that it's been half-assed for so long. I think that's how it's felt. It's just felt absolutely half-assed. Even I will say that like as cool as it was to see like Ache and Ochoa doing the pre-game conversation, like at least like it seemed like they didn't really like specifically call it out. They kind of said these vague kind of ideas, just like, well, let's behave, let's be respectful.
But they have already done that, Cesar. They already had a video of them even saying the word.
Talavera said it in the press conference. He said, we've been technically speaking, if we're going to get technical, maybe it's been very soft at the beginning. It's getting a little bit more aggressive as time goes on. They've been trying to get this under control since 2018.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I say, like, for me at this point, maybe you don't care as a fan, but to see the players, like, just like very, very aggravated and just frustrated on the field. Like for me on a personal standpoint and like as a fan, I'm like, how do you see that and not care? Like they're so fed up with this at this point. They're literally just there like on the field, just trying, at the Iceland game, they had to explain to Iceland what was happening. But at this point, time and time again, these are, and we've had the discussion, not just here, but just, in international soccer in general, or just, soccer since COVID started, is like these are human beings that are overwhelmingly overworked, and they've been going tournament and stuff, and you're just trying to do your job, and these people will not let you. And it's
they're highly paid. Yeah, they're getting all the money, but it's like you're like, I don't know, for let's say like FA, like let's say Mexico does qualify for the World Cup, that would be an opportunity for him. Like I don't know, it's like taking away that kid's dream. Like that could happen. It's not like something that's like far fetched. Like no, Mexico, like no. Mexico could miss out on the World Cup, and it's just it's
the first it's out of the Gold Cup qualifying points. Miss out of this World Cup. Miss out on hosting the World Cup. There are big consequences, right? Really quick, one of our photographers got this shot of this fan at the beginning of the match who had this sign that said, Viva México, queremos asistir al Mundial. Fuera el grito homofóbico. Like even before the match, right? I mean, I talking to some fans just out there, just kind of told them about it. I'm like, hey, please don't say it. And I got called the P word just by saying don't say it. Like, it's like as a funny,
Lisa's gone.
It feels like just fans are not even getting the message for it. And it's just frustrating.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's especially frustrating. I mean, I guess we could talk about it forever, but it's especially frustrating because it looked like we made progress in the friendlies for before the Gold Cup. We were just like, and the friendlies were like, we're doing this. The fans stopped. It looked like it was getting better, but we were all pretty naive too, because these weren't official matches, and you didn't have a mess like you had on Saturday, and this isn't going to be the last time that Mexico has a mess like this.
Although against Panama, nobody scored and they didn't say it, so I don't want to hear.
There was no like Chucky injury.
True,
there was
but
no.
If it's if they're not winning against Panama and Atlanta, it wasn't even heard.
No,
yeah,
but
I get it. I think it comes back to the types of fans. I'm not saying somebody I think on the chat here said ban the cities where you say and see if it happens again. They're not even. They're two different stadiums here in Dallas, and what we say. Really quick, after everything that's happened, Trinidad and Tobago, I know some fans are really really frustrated, and fans out there that there's teams that are out there that just go out there to try to injure our players. I really don't. I want to benefit of the doubt that there's players that don't think that way. Yeah. But I think it has to. If you want to, don't blame Trinidad. Maybe they're going out there with let's just be more physical and play 150%.
Also, we were talking about this. It's like Trinidad and Tobago did come off of qualifying from a PK shootout. They were maybe running on adrenaline. They're you don't want to blame them, right? I mean, the game was physical before that Chucky injury too. Like it was.
Yeah. That's the ref. That's the ref's fault.
And that's the ref's fault.
That's the
start getting yellows right away.
You can't blame the Trinidad and Tobago players for being more pissed. Because here's the thing, like it was really it was so like it hurt me to see what happened. It hurt a lot of us. But like if I was Trinidad and Tobago, if I was a coach, if I was a player, I'd be like, okay, we know how we've hurt teams, and I shouldn't say hurt, but we know how we've like halted teams like Mexico. Is you be a little bit more physical against them.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
I would have done. It was incredibly unfortunate to see what happened to Chucky. But with the general game plan, them being more physical, I can understand why they decided to do that. I can understand why they decided to have that approach, because it's worked in the past, and I mean, they got them the draw. I got them the draw that they really really needed.
And I talk about Trinidad and the players because obviously after the game and a lot of fans. Mexican fans and who knows from where on Instagram went into the social media pages of Trinidad and Tobago and said racist stupid things, and it's a conversation that only happens in Mexico fans because, gosh, what happened with Italy and all the fights, and we've seen it all in Europe and Latin America and South America. It's just a conversation of, gosh, man, I'm just so fed up with just stupid fans that don't care about the game, that just want to be funny on anonymous or thinking that there's no consequences for you. And it just ruins it for the rest of us who this is what we do. This is our lives. And right, poor us. I get it. It's impacting us, but just tired of it all. On a note, Trinidad going out now with an official statement saying Mexican fans are being racist and on social media and what can be done. And it's pena ajena. We just kind of go crap. I didn't think that was going to happen, but at the same time, maybe I'm oblivious because it happened all the time. I mean, even us, right, guys? I mean, we get hate on Twitter and we block, and it's easy for us. But federations that players and look at the conversations happening in England, it just sucks. Just gives you like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, it's no. I mean, I would not lie. I felt a little bit that way after the Saturday game. It's just like. It hurts. Yeah. It really like I will continue to support Mexican national for the rest of my life. I mean that's the only soccer team I truly and deeply like love and support. But man, like games like Saturday and what happened over the weekend, it does. I'm not going like you do definitely question your own support of the national team. You're like, well, you do kind of like doubt yourself a little bit. Like I don't expect that I will ever stop supporting, the national team, obviously because of, my heritage, it's where my family's from. But man, it was like really, I don't know, you really questioned it a little bit over the weekend.
Today was the very first day.
Go ahead,
Amy. Okay, well, really quick. Today was the very first day, and I'm walking into the hotel room, I'm putting my bags down. And I'm on my Uber on wide radar. I'm like, what could be done if I was like the president or whatever, and I can make sure like what are we done? The very first day that I go, I think missing a World Cup will finally maybe change all this. Like, aquí están Luis. A ver, querían esto? There we go. You want like this? The very first time that I went, maybe that needs to happen because before I'm like, no, we could get it before, but and there's a part of me that goes, crap. I guess if that's what we got to learn, people have to learn. And I don't even know if it would stop it anyway.
Yeah. No. When Nations League happened, right, there's a very interesting dynamic that as Mexican Americans, and not just as Mexican Americans, right, but there's a very interesting line that we tread when it comes to these discussions, right? And you saw it a lot after the Nations League game, where you're trying to be constructive as possible, but people are antagonizing people that look like you, people that talk like you, people that are you, that you try to defend them without excusing their behavior. Right. And you do that consistently because you're like, hey, generalizing is wrong. Everything that we've seen over the last year, not just the last year, right, but just like it's been very, very it's accelerated a lot in the last year because we have all been home and we have all just been stuck on our phones, seeing what everybody thinks of us every time. And yesterday was the first day where I didn't necessarily agree with those judgments by any means. Right. But I was just Saturday was just so disappointing, where it's like we've tried to work so hard. Maybe the federation has to be lukewarm. Maybe all those higher ups have a lot of tape that they have to pass because of all the different entities that they have to work with. But I have tried so hard to defend you, or we have worked hard as Mexican Americans in a discourse, at a table, on a platform, where we're trying to tell everybody that this is not just what we are. We're not just these dirty, whatever, insert whatever disgusting adjective you have that you want to say about Mexicans, right? But when they did that final one, that's where I was just like, I feel like I'm doing this for nothing. I feel like there's no point in working this hard if we can't, not necessarily in like a super exaggerated way, control the masses, but you just go, for what? Why do I keep doing this? Why am I trying so hard to give you something that you don't even really care about? Because yes, you will sit there and you will watch this national team at the World Cup and you will tweet about how trash they are, whatever, but you're still going to watch them. So even if you don't care right now and you're there chanting and you're there laughing about it, whatever, you're actually still going to be watching this game next year. You're still going to be watching this team. You're still going to be giving viewership numbers to this. So it's completely illogical to me on that level.
Absolutely frustrating. Absolutely frustrating on so many different topics and ideas. And
to all the fans, all you watch us in the Mexican Soccer Show and our takes. I mean, we ask you guys and I know everyone says it's an easy fix, right? Or, even on the chat, people are saying it's only the people in the U.S. where it's not true. There's so many different facets of this to try to control about it. We want to make a statement. All of us, we're completely against the chant. There was a Trinidad and Tobago fans that said, "I'll be excited to hear you guys talk about the chant." And he messaged us. Hopefully, you are watching, and that it's not all fans. We're trying to do our best. I know a lot of the LTN community is trying to do their best. There's still some fans that don't understand. Some fans that are like, "Okay, ya no, it's not funny. Let's not do it anymore." We at From Next Nation and Mexican Soccer Show, and we try to highlight, the stories. That's what got me to where I'm doing now, is highlighting those cool stories of Mexican fans that are really out there, the passionate fans that are out there. And we're going to continue doing that. But at the same time, we're not also going to just turn a blind eye and be like, oh, everything's fine, because it's been embarrassing being a Mexican fan. And to all those other fan bases that are looking at us and saying like, your fans are the worst. We know that we have horrible fans, and we're not going to be pointing on you.
Trash.
We know we're trash, right?
As
and we're
Mexicans, we're self-deprecating naturally. We're highly aware of this.
I look around in other sports and I see it happening. I look around in other fan bases that I see it happening. And I'm not going to be like, well, you guys do it also. No, but generalization is kind of what gets kind of annoying on that, because there are beautiful people that we've interviewed, even in the last game, where it was the first time this family from Idaho that drove from Idaho as a family to bring their 6-month-old daughter, Amy, right? I think was there to see their first game. And just talking to them, they were like, yeah, my dad took me to my first game and I'm taking my daughter to my first game. And just talking to them, like, those are the stories that are cool that, but those don't get highlighted.
And regardless of what happened over the weekend, which is I was gonna say a step back. It was more like 10 steps back, but it seems like we aren't making as much progress as I really wanted to. But you can see that progress. You can see that people are having this conversation more often, and you can see that now. Finally, players and the national team and the conversations being had for the reasons why fans shouldn't be doing that chant. So at the very least, if we're going to try to be on leaving on an optimistic note and hoping that Wednesday is also a good game, because of course the Gold Cup is that was just the first game. Yeah. So here's the hoping that we continue to make some progress. But I will say, I do feel a little optimistic that changes will be made, that things will get better. But man, over the weekend, that was definitely 10 steps back.
Hopefully, if it happens again, the protocol is faster. People are emptied. Maybe security takes some people out. I know that could be a whole procedure on there. And some fans get that consequence. It'll help if we score goals, but I don't want that be the reason why we're not saying the chant. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. We just had it on the table. We won. I'm pretty sure we're gonna beat Guatemala like 5-0 on Wednesday, just because this is I watched the game super late, by the way. Guatemala, El Salvador, and Guatemala has really nothing. They don't. I don't think their coach and just
you never know. They lost and still qualified, so anything is possible.
So yeah, I feel like okay, but I think the El Salvador is going to be very, very important. And we didn't even get to talk about what we were going to want, and I know we already kind of went long. The game against Guatemala, I think Mexico will win and win comfortably, and maybe even high scoring. Right, it'll send a message. The game against El Salvador, it's going to be playing the Cotton Bowl. Heavy El Salvador community around there. People, El Salvador fans, were excited to see their game, and I just hope people behave. And man, who knows? And if not, fine. Let's just lose the Gold Cup. Like if they keep doing it, kicks out, and maybe that'll help.
I think the two, you probably feel this way too. It's just like, I think we're reaching a point where it's just, well, if we continue to do that, then we get what we deserve. If that means losing the Gold Cup, that means not having matches, that means not us going to the World Cup. Maybe that's what really needs to happen in order for Mexico fans to truly learn. But I'm hoping things. I mean, it seems so stupid to talk about what's happening on the field when obviously there were much more important things to talk about what was happening, off the field and in the stands. But I do hope that there will be a turn on Wednesday. And yeah, you don't want them to win just so you don't hear the chant. You don't want them to score just so you don't hear the chant. But man, that would be a nice little side effect, though, wouldn't it? To not hear the chant. I bet people did well. So here's a hoping that they do well on Wednesday. But yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. Appreciate everybody on the chat. There was some questions I know that were missed just because of the conversation. That we'll get to. I guess a Guadalupe player just got a red by punching somebody. Jeez,
that's not a question. That's a statement.
Sorry, a statement.
That's a
statement. There was a question on there that's something about. Let's see. There's just so many on the chat, so I appreciate you. People didn't like my security. Let's kick everybody out. It's true. Maybe we're just kind of working all together. We'll see that.
We need to think of something. Something needs to happen. We need some new ideas out there.
It does.
Talking about Messi in there. All right. Well, really quick, a plug for the Mexican Soccer Show. We're doing our Gold Cup dailies. All of us are taking turns. Sometimes we're at the games, or we have some guests, and we're like 5 to 10 minutes pod. Yesterday I did it with Gotti at Pluckers here in Texas. So for all you know Pluckers, I didn't know what Pluckers was, but apparently it's a big deal. It's called Pluckers, and there's great wings. There's a plug for them. It was at a pub, and we were just kind of chatting about the game and about what happened. So we'll continue to do those. We won't have one on Mexican Soccer Show Mondays. We'll have them every other day. So tomorrow, the schedule for tomorrow, there is a press conference at 7 p.m. Central Time, and then there is 15 minutes that we'll get to see the players just train. And sometimes it's not even worth going over there. Train. And then we'll give you that. So. Then we'll have the game on Wednesday, and we'll continue to do that. So really, really thank everybody else. You know what? A question that we didn't answer, type it right now before we say goodbyes, and maybe we can do that. But we'll see. What do you, aside from really quick, the U.S. men's national team? Also, I think only winning 1-0. 1-1-0. There was some criticism there. I said in one of the tweets, I think that's one of the questions. I don't think it's going to be a Mexico versus U.S. final. And
they asked, do you think both or just think one or the other?
Yeah, I don't want to answer that because I'm gonna keep it that
because your takes have been trash lately, Mr. No. I think Italy's gonna win. And I'm sorry about that, Tom. I don't know if you're listening, but I just want you to know I vouched for you. Okay, I thought it was coming home through and through.
back to I want England to win,
No,
but
no,
I don't think
no,
they
you
could
posted
Hey,
win.
the question that the fan asked had nothing to do with Italy or England.
Anyway,
Someone said
going back
Jamaica
to
looked
your-
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, why
but
do they schedule games so late, Amy?
Because the West Coast is the only one that matters, guys. All right. That's why.
Oh,
You need
wow.
those viewership points for the West Coast. Although
Oh
when
my-
I was in Texas, and there I was like, wait, this game's at 9:00. No, I don't want to deal with this. And then what was it, like 12:30?
Oh my gosh, hold on.
Dude,
Alexi
understand.
Lawless. This is the first time we've been so close to him. Hold on, let me change the channel. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Whew.
Sorry. I just looked up and there he was. I was like,
But who do you think? You have it on record.
Okay. I don't, even before the Gold Cup started, after that Nations League, after I saw the US with their team, I wasn't necessarily impressed with the US, even with their superstars, because they, and I said, I don't think the US makes it. Now I'm like, well, in my odds, and I love odds. I don't think one of them makes it. I don't know if it's Mexico or it could be. That's why I think it's a very safe bet that neither make it.
There's also a decent chance they could play each other in the semis too. So there is a chance, depending on how the group stage goes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I asked the official CONCACAF people, on
The world's
Saturday.
best official CONCACAF person.
Arch Bell and our friend John Arnold, who has a great video series called CONCACAFinated, and he's our friend. If you want anything about the
CONCACAFinated today.
Yes, and also the Texas Observer.
Wow, John Arnold.
It's because I'm here in Texas. Sorry, John.
So sorry.
Anyway. Striker. No, it's because I saw Texas Observer website. Anyway,
What is the Striker? How do you not know this?
I did. It's just,
sorry.
We doesn't know anything that I don't remind him of every 5 seconds. So.
Pretty much. So now I lost my train of thought.
We could potentially face the United States in the semis.
No, I think it's gonna be really, really hard. What I do see is playing Qatar in the semis, like that.
That's why they're in the tournament. I forgot.
And for some people are saying, hey, they're not that bad. So yeah.
I think I buy into what Weiss was saying. I think it isn't out of the question that Mexico and the United States go up against each other in the semis, and we'll see what happens with L3. Obviously, there are some early issues. I still think they'll be fine, but I mean, it's not like they win the Gold Cup every single time. Oh. And with the U.S., I mean, whether it's their A team, their Z team, I think that's what fans are saying. I have no idea. Whatever roster they have is a roster that they currently have.
What letter are we? After 2009, after that 5-0 is like, pick a letter. That's the U.S. team, the J team.
But whatever. Like, I think C, D, whatever alternate roster that they have right now. They also had some early issues.
Everybody has their alternate roster,
and their tournament opener. So like Mexico, they're still, the two of them I think are expected to make it to the final. The two of them are expected to be. They are the favorites, and there's a lot of potential there. But early issues for both sides.
Rather have a bad start than a bad ending.
Ugh, that's one of Risso's motivational phrases.
That was not me. This was
totally
Kai DeBear. That's who did that. Really
Reese,
quick.
Is that your burner?
Just my burner account.
is that your burner?
Listen, and we're going over because it's okay because it's really late over here. But the David Ochoa, and we didn't even get into this. David Ochoa is training with the national team.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
the interesting dynamic with that is that there's more, apparently through the grapevine, is that there's quite a few, or not quite a few, but there's some that are like, JK, I know I said I wanted to go with
let's talk about the TikTok Amy made saying our Ochoa versus your Ochoa. That's still on TikTok.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying,
hey, he's a captain just yet.
He wants to come over.
So for those that don't know, David Ochoa decided to play the Olympics with the U.S. team, right? And did, bad job. And you know what? And now he's with the Mexican national team, training with the Mexican national team. And I just think it's funny because, like, obviously all these fans went at it. And by the way, it goes with everything, like going in there and insulting somebody for their decision or whatever. Like, dude, like, stop it. There's you don't need to do that. But now he is with the Mexican national team, and I think everyone like, what do we do? Do we go, oh, okay, cool, like, but you were just with the rival team?
I mean, the thing is like, I think it's an interesting conversation. Just like, I don't know if you are also a Mexican American player, and you're like, well, I have more of an opportunity to get minutes here with the U.S. Would I switch?
And he did.
I think you have to address that elephant in the room yourself, which is, we're nobody to ask that of Ochoa, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did that on his own, but it's definitely and always a very interesting dynamic for me, regardless of what direction they go in. Where you go, JK, I'm gonna go over there.
It is interesting because, like, I think right now, like, when you're, and I would say the U.S. and Mexico are quite close. I think there are times when Mexico was clearly ahead. I would say there are times where the U.S. was a little bit ahead of L3. But I think right now they're both quite close. So you have a lot of dual nationals who are probably looking at, whether Mexico is better or the U.S. is better. They're probably looking at, well, this team doesn't have as much depth in this position. I think that's why Julian Araujo could potentially get some minutes with L3.
Kevin said that's the reason he's not at the Gold Cup. Our good friend Kevin Baxter from the LA Times.
Because you look at who, like, Mexico's right back options. I don't know. Julian Araujo could potentially get a lot of minutes. You look at Mexico's goalkeeping options. Yes, I'm excited about Jurado and Malagon, but and obviously Acevedo. But I don't know. Could David Ochoa be in the running and get like a significant amount of
another Ochoa?
Hey, that'd be pretty cool. But does he have more opportunity there than the U.S.? Yeah.
I was watching Football Americas because they were talking about this topic, and Her made and I credit him for saying this. We don't know people's decisions. I might not want to play for the U.S. There are people that I could never understand with the half jersey with the U.S. and Mexico, right? That half jersey that we saw that I took a picture, and I could never understand. There's a new fan that is like, I'm okay with both. I saw there's a Twitter account that I follow that's like Mex and US takes, and they're positive and negative to both. And it's a fan that really cares for both teams. I don't see how, because I was crying in 2002 and I could never support the team that took us away from the World Cup and get the Quinto Partido. That rivalry is still heavy within me. But as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid, maybe right now that it's looking at Mexican American that sees, a Gio Reyna, who's I think is a great, great player, and is seeing Chucky Lozano on the other side and is like, hey, I could be Gio, or I could be Chucky Lozano, and it's just going in there, and all they want to do is they feel patriotic to the U.S. and Mexico. I can't take that away from somebody. Maybe that is David Ochoa. Maybe he's like, I don't give a crap. I'll go play for Mexico, and if I can't do it there, I'm gonna go to the U.S. And if I can't do it there, I just want to play a World Cup because I love this game, and I'll fight blood, tears, sweat, whatever.
Although, how awesome would it be for a Mexican national team player named Kate Cowell?
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. That's why I always wanted William Yarbrough to do better. I was like, you look at William Yarbrough.
He didn't want it.
Can you imagine if William Yarbrough, like the way, like with his name, like
Leon Legend?
Yeah, Leon Legend. He didn't want. I asked him. He didn't want to. He's like, I've always wanted to be with the U.S. I'm like, liar.
But obviously it's like a little complicated too, because like I don't know, like. And part of the reason why I like rooted for Mexico growing up is like, I don't know, you looked at the U.S. team when I was growing up, and I was like, none of those dudes look like me. Like the Mexican national team.
What if the U.S. national team all of a sudden started just like 11 players that are all Cesar Hernandez,
I think
all Mexican Americans.
I think that's why things are changing. It's just if you're like a 9 or 10-year-old, you actually see like some more Latino representation in the U.S. men's national team, and also I think, with more and more generations down the line who are Mexican American, you aren't Mexican American like us, where obviously the connection to Mexico is a little bit stronger than, let's say, people who could be 3rd, 4th, 5th generation Mexican American who, maybe don't feel nearly as Mexican than they do as American.
Who knows? But who's a Mexican prospect that has an important game coming up? Me. I gotta go. So. Oh yeah,
sorry. Amy did mention the chat that she had to leave. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. Am I gonna miss sitters like Oberlin Pineda? Probably. We'll find out.
Well, good luck. Keep us updated on that. Thanks everybody in the chat. We went a little bit over. Again, share it. See. Oh, there is a chat right here that's saying like, okay, I see now. Yeah, you see. Anyway, I see now. All right, Mexican Soccer Show. Well, bye, Amy. See you later. Now we can talk about her. So, Amy. let's say the Gold Cup serves no purpose anymore. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that are really upset about having to play.
Hey, I tweeted why like it matters for FIFA ranking points, and I think Mexico literally lost like 11 points by getting the draw against. I'll have to like confirm that, but like I think they literally lost like 11 points by getting that draw. Yeah,
we'll continue. Amy's gone, but something that kind of like this, we can't just not play a game in a tournament.
Right. Yeah.
People don't understand. Oh, this Gold Cup is just crap. I get it. It's every 2 years. It shouldn't be 2 years. People think it's a money grab. It's our tournament. You know, it's not like we can't do it. You know, and I know that the money excuse is out there. That this is all for money, and I get it. Right, because it seems like why are people getting injured? The U.S. doesn't have their stars, and look at what happened to Chucky. But the solution is like let's not play the games. Like if it doesn't matter, what doesn't matter? Moleros, people are talking about some games. What is a perfect game? Because we need to have games in order for us to play qualifiers.
Yeah, we're not because we're not the Copa America. The Confederations Cup is no longer happening.
No longer there. We're not the Copa America.
Yeah. So when we're talking about because of the region we're in, when we're talking about the highest competition we could take part in, it's the Gold Cup, and it matters for like I said for FIFA ranking points. These games matter a lot for FIFA ranking points, and we discussed
the Copa America was every 2 years since like 8 years ago. By the way, like. There was if you look at how many Copa Americas it was, and I don't think our Copa America like people complaining about it. They're like it's every 2 years.
I don't know, yeah, it's definitely it's definitely odd. It was like every 4 years. It's changed. Yeah.
And what's worse is that people are like the competition we face in the Gold Cup is crap. We can't beat them.
We just got a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, everyone says like, oh, we want like you want to play against the Germanys and the Portugals and the Belgiums and of Euro, but we can't even beat Trinidad and Tobago. Like. Everyone keeps saying how we're in such crap, competition, and we shouldn't be with this, and we should go somewhere else. We can't even win against Trinidad and Tobago. We'll eventually win the Gold Cup, but our levels also playing in CONCACAF is difficult, right? Because there come these games where it's very, very physical, and all they play is for a tie. The World Cup qualifying is not like we're walking through like it was in 2005. We've struggled in every one of those World Cup qualifying, and it's going to happen. And it's not just us, right? Other federations like Uruguay, I think was it 2010 when they played the playoff against Costa Rica. They didn't win in Costa Rica. This is Uruguay who had amazing players and beat us in the World Cup. They could barely tie against Uruguay against Costa Rica in Costa Rica, right? Look at what Costa Rica did in 2014 to Uruguay. Like people keep saying that CONCACAF is so bad, but when it comes down to it, like it's tough playing in CONCACAF. Sure, it's not Maracanã and it's not Wembley, whatever. But anyway, all right. And there's a lot of rants that we went off. We went a little long. I know, an hour and 17 minutes. Amy had to leave, but we appreciate everybody that's on. We appreciate all of the comments. Keeping it PG on this one. I saw. If you retweet us, you can always send us a message and we'll continue this conversation. But we appreciate all. Cesar, thanks a lot. We'll see what happens. Hopefully by next week where we're like, hey, there's no chant. Mexico's winning, and we can actually focus on the quarterfinals and we can focus on the Gold Cup. How easy did we have it in other Copa Oros that we weren't? It was just about how crappy Mexico was playing. Like,
no, it's just, yeah. I mean, there's always some sort of issue with Mexico in the Gold Cup. It's rarely perfect. So yeah, it's all par for the course, I guess. I mean, hopefully more like positive news, and it won't be nearly as frustrating as it was the last couple of days. But maybe it's just good to get that out of the way, and things will get better. But we'll see.
Definitely. If you're listening to us on the Apple Podcast, give us a review. If it's less than 5 stars, then don't give us a review. So no, I'm just kidding. Thanks a lot. We'll say goodnight to Alex Padillo, who said good night, y'all. All right, it's been enough from Dallas and San Diego. This is Mexican Talk Show live. We'll see you guys next time. Hasta la próxima.